Welcome to my sit on the grass and talk to your partner until the bell rings and then change places party. That's right, today's subject on What Was It Really Like is courting. At such an event, speed dating of 1891, there'd be lots of other games like grace sticks and maybe more familiar ones that you've heard of like spin the bottle. There were also lots of singing games, the Jolly Miller and Oats and Beans and Barley. Now in these games, couples would pair up, they'd stand in a circle, and there'd be one single man in the middle. They'd sing the song, and at the end of it, he would say that the miller got to make his grab, in which he would catch one of the young ladies from a partner, and he'd get to kiss her. This would leave another young man without a partner, and he would be the miller, and repeat. Now, where would you meet people in the 1800s? Well, there were temperance meetings, box lunch socials. Those were events where young ladies of the village would make their specialty, put it in a box, decorate it all fancy, and an auction would be held. The men of the town would bid on their lunches. All proceeds would go to the community, and then they would get to enjoy the lunch that they bid on with the lovely young lady who made it. Another place where people would meet, believe it or not, was at church. In the morning, you'd attend your regular Sunday service, and then you'd go visit other churches in the area to meet the young folk there. Lots of people met this way. Now, I know something that you're all wondering. What would a date have been like in the 1800s? Well, sometimes you wanted to go to a concert or a party or a dinner or a ball, and that meant traveling a good distance. Travel was not very quick in the 1800s. You were traveling by horse and buggy. And this meant that even just going as far as Uxbridge from Pickering was a 2-day journey. It was not uncommon, contrary to popular belief, that a young couple might go out for an evening and actually end up not returning until the next morning, simply because of how long it took to travel. Long-distance relationships were also actually a thing in the 1800s. A young man might travel throughout the day to arrive at his sweetheart's place for the evening. They'd stay up all night talking, and he'd leave very early the next morning on the early morning train. Another interesting occurrence was horses that knew their way around town. You could get into a carriage or maybe a sled in the winter with your sweetheart. No driver needed, and the horses would take you around because they knew where they were going. And with all of these regulations that may seem contrary to popular beliefs about the Victorian era, we do have one that sets some limitations on a couple's time that they were able to spend together. Parents or people who were responsible for young people had a lot of say in their relationships. They could make it impossible for a young couple to meet, and they also got to set the amount of time that they spent together by using a device like this, a courting candle, not uncommon in Pickering in the 1800s. If a young man came calling at a young lady's home to visit her, her father could set the candle higher by twisting it up if he liked him, and they could spend more time together and have time to let the candle burn down. If he didn't like him, disapproval was obvious because he'd set it lower. And ladies, if you haven't met your future husband yet, the next time you're at a wedding, take a slice of cake, put it under your pillow, and you'll dream of your intended. Oh, there's the bell. Time to change partners.